Hey, and welcome today to Ask a House Cleaner. I'm super excited that you guys are joining me today. And today I've got a really fun show planned. I've got Sean O'Rourke with me here, and he is the National Marketing Director of Floor Coverings International. And he's going to give us all the deets about how to clean floors properly. And I know we get lots of questions from you guys about cleaning floors. What are the do's? What are the don'ts? How does it work? All the things. So I'm really, really excited to have him here today to join us. So if you will, I want you to jump in the comments. I want you to let us know where you're from. I want you to let us know your cleaning floor questions, because I know everybody wants to know a question about cleaning floors, and we're going to do our best to answer them all today. We only have 1 hour, so we're going to go as fast and as furiously as we can. So please help me welcome Sean O'Rourke.
Well, hello, Angela.
Well, hey there. How are you today?
I'm doing awesome.
So you are the floor guy, and I want to know, how did you get to become the floor guy?
Well, that is a good question, Angela. I have been in the flooring business since 1990. It's all I've ever known. It's the only space I've ever worked in. So I have been around flooring a very, very, very long time, probably longer than some of the age of your viewers.
Well, I know that you have a flooring franchise that is 225 franchise locations across the country in 40 different states. I mean, that is ginormous. And I know that you've probably been asked every question in the book about flooring.
There is always something new to be asked. And I will tell you, 33 years in the business, I am still learning new stuff about this business.
No
So Floor
kidding.
Coverings International, we're based outside of Atlanta in Norcross. That's where we're headquartered. And we have, as you said, we have 220 franchisees operating in over 40 states. And we are rapidly expanding. We are going to be 250 franchisees by the end of the year. And certainly well over 300 by the end of 2024.
Wow, that's awesome. Well, there might even be somebody on the call here that learns what you do and they go, you know what, that's for me. I gotta buy one of these franchises. So tell us, what is Floor Coverings International? What exactly is that?
Yeah, well, as the name implies, we are a franchise business. All of our franchisees independently operate a shop at home business. We're a mobile, we operate from a Ford Transit Connect, and we bring the samples to your home. And unlike a lot of other shop at home flooring services out there, we have a dedicated vehicle to bring to your home that has as many as 300 different options for you to choose from. Yeah, or I said 300, I mean 3,000. And, you know, a lot of other shop at home flooring businesses out there, they will come out with 3 to 10 sample boards, and the selection is somewhat limited. We have just an incredible selection of products in every category. So there really isn't anything that we cannot provide from you in a home or commercial setting. Actually, we also do some commercial business as well.
Wow, I'm so impressed and my mind is blown. So tell me, how does this work? I'm wanting to renovate my house, and so I call up Floor Coverings International. I say, come out and help me pick out a new floor.
Yeah, that's kind of how it operates. So typically, you know, a customer, a person or a homeowner will decide, oh, I need new flooring, I need new carpet, I need new this. And it's not something that you purchase on a regular basis. So most people maybe don't know where to go for flooring. Obviously, they know maybe Home Depot and Lowe's and some other box stores, but they want a more intimate service. So they'll typically jump online, as we do for pretty much everything today, and they'll search floor covering near me, and we certainly will be in the top 3 or top 4 entities that come up. You can either connect us through either calling us through a contact form on our website. Our mobile showrooms also have QR codes on the outside of them. So if you're sitting at a stoplight and you happen to see one of our very colorful shop at home vans, you can click on your phone and you can grab us that way. So multiple ways for you to get in contact with us, and then an appointment is made, typically within 24 or 48 hours at the most. And then the business owner, who's the franchise owner, is typically coming to your home, and they will do a very in-depth analysis of what you want, what you don't like about your current flooring. We don't show up at your door with a half a dozen samples. We actually want to come into your home and find out what your needs and wants and what you don't want before we even bring in a sample. So we really, really do a very, very different way to market than typical floor covering, whether it's brick and mortar or box store or other shop at home. So it's a very intimate service that we offer, and we install everything that we sell.
Oh, wow. So I'm guessing that also the floorings that you sell and install are also warrantied.
Absolutely, and that's the beautiful thing about having a one-stop shop is you don't have to go running after a subcontractor. If you have an issue, you have one phone call, and again, you are typically dealing with the owner of the business. So they obviously have a lot that they've probably more vested in this than anybody other than you, the buyer. So it is a very, very different type of a service. And it's just the reviews that we get online prove that. We have, I think, an NPS score of something like 87, where in the
let me interrupt you for a second. For those of us that don't know, what is an NPS score?
It's called a net promoter score, and basically it's you could go to a restaurant or get a service at a gas station or getting your car fixed, and pretty much all industries use it. And basically it's almost like a scoreboard between 1 and 100, and typically services that are needed for in the home require a lot of installation. It's unlike purchasing a product. So obviously there's many ways for things to sort of go sideways. And basically we score an 87 out of 100.
Whoa.
Where the typical flooring industry, and I don't want to name names, but typically in flooring, it's below 40. And in other building trades, it's in that 35 to 45 range. We score an 87. And again, it's because of the very intimate service that we bring to the homeowner.
Well, you brought some really important points up, because I remember when we bought carpeting for our house last, we went down to the Home Depot, like you mentioned, and there were like 4 choices. And we're like, which of these 4 choices? And we weren't fans of any of them. And we said, well, I mean, I guess if we have to make do. And we went to a couple other stores like Lowe's, and they might have had 1 or 2 other choices and 2 of the same. And we're like, okay, so we have 6 choices instead of 4. And then we chose the best of the few options that were available to us that were local. And I think a lot of people run into that. But right now, as cleaning business owners, we are running to a lot of different flooring types. And there's a lot of guesswork as to how are we supposed to clean these floors properly. But before we get into the cleaning, what are some of the considerations that homeowners should think about or should pay attention to when choosing a flooring type?
I think that's probably the most important thing in any of this, is making sure you choose the right flooring. I mean, today it's very traditional. For instance, I mean, if you go back 20 years ago or so, people would put carpeting almost throughout the home. Well, carpeting maybe isn't the best product, obviously, for a heavy traffic area, young kids. I think something like 65% of Americans now have pets. So it's picking the right product. And it's not to say carpet can't work in those spaces, but it may not be right for you. And then also, how are you using the space? If it's certain rooms in your home that are occasional, like a dining room or a more formal seating area, you can do something very different in there than you would, say, in your bedrooms or your steps or your living areas. And more today, it is very, even in apartment dwellings and managed buildings, certainly people are more and more putting what we call a hard surface in the living areas. And it's not unusual for carpet typically to be relegated to the bedroom. So picking the right flooring is absolutely key. And then when you pick the right product, okay, you decide you want a hard surface. Then really what that hard surface becomes, is it hardwood? Is it laminate? Is it vinyl? Is it ceramic? Is it marble or some other product? Making sure you make the right selection there, both for your pocketbook and obviously for how you're going to use that space. So that's something obviously at Floor Coverings International that we absolutely make sure that you buy the correct product to begin with. I'll just maybe use an example. I'm in a relatively new development, and there's only 25 homes in it. And the builder, he decided to put in obviously wood floors through all the living areas, which is great. I love hardwood. but the hardwood product they selected was a dark color in a maple and or birch. And typically for living areas, dark colors, they may look
Show all
beautiful.
the dust.
They may look beautiful in magazine shoots and, for dramatic decorating and what have you, but for everyday living, if you've got pets or young kids, not very suitable. So again, you could pick the right product. Hardwood might be the right product, but picking the wrong color and the wrong species, not so good.
Well, and I'm glad you bring that up, because there are a lot of things as house cleaners that we've seen that I'm like, whoa, don't do that. And because we see a lot of it, I have a sensitivity to it. But we're seeing things that a lot of people don't think about, like when you have senior parents, for example, and you have carpet throughout your house, it becomes very difficult for them to use wheelchairs and mobility aids with wheels on them to move around from room to room, when with the hard surface flooring, it's going to be a whole lot easier. And like you said, there are a lot of pets now in homes. And so with the thicker carpets, those shag rugs that people used to have, oh my goodness. And then the pet hair would get in them and you can't get it out. And you use even the pet rakes and everything. It's like, it's frustrating. So I love that we're having this conversation.
Hopefully most of that carpet style is gone. And if it's something you still have in your home, well, maybe it should be gone too.
Maybe you need to call Floor Coverings International. So I want to stop and say hi to our guests. We've got Emmanuel here. This is good evening, my great mentor and role model. Oh, thank you so much. This is awesome. Nancy says, hi. Hello, Angela and Sean from Illinois. How might I remove a stain from the gripper backside of a bathroom rug? Okay, that's great. And I do want to answer that. We have Random Exploring says, baking soda before vacuuming and using vinegar for vinyl flooring options or suggestions. That's a great question as well. I'm going to star these so we can come back to these, because I want to make sure we get these answered. Rachel Rowe says, hello, Sean, too. Looking forward to learning so much tonight. And I think Rachel is over in the UK. So hello and welcome. And it is evening where you are. So thank you for joining us. We have Mary saying, what is the best product to clean wooden, not hardwood floors? Excellent question. We have Sandra Bracken says, wow, I finally get to join one of the live chats. Yes. And I'm so glad that you get to join. This is so cool. Thank you for joining us. Kelly says, tips for floor cleaning efficiently. Thank you and hi. Thank you and hi as well. You guys, I'm so excited that you've joined us today. This is just a spectacular time that we get to come together. And Teresa says, she jumped in and said, hello from Ireland. Whoa, you guys are all over the place. This is awesome.
That's obviously with a name like Sean O'Rourke. That's where I was born and raised.
That's awesome. We've got friends and fans of Sean's already. This is fantastic. So my question is, as we're choosing the right kind of flooring, how do we know what the right kind of flooring is? Does the Floor Coverings International people guide us through some of the things like either the senior living or the pets or whatever that we may not have thought of, and maybe help us future-proof the flooring that we're going to do in the future so it lasts longer?
That's exactly what we do, Angela. As I said, we typically don't show up at an appointment or a home with samples in hand. We want to come in and we want to observe how you're using your space now, find out what you don't like about the existing flooring, are you looking to repurpose the space, and then we'll certainly make our suggestions based on all of those things. And the other thing that we'll do, obviously, if we had unlimited budgets, we would always want to put in the most durable, probably most expensive product, but that's not practical. So we will also work with you to set like a budget, and we will give you options within that budget. So for instance, let's say you're doing your living areas, your living room, dining room, hallway, and whatever. You measure up the space. You really love this beautiful wide width hardwood, which might be plenty suitable for your application. And then obviously the price is just more than you really, really want to handle. Well, certainly then we will give you an option of here's what it's going to cost if we do it in laminate flooring or vinyl flooring. And we would make sure that whatever the options are we're offering, they are suitable for your application. We're not going to certainly say, here's something that will fit your budget, but it's not going to be a suitable product for the use that you intended. We're not going to do something like that. We would literally say, that's not for us. Maybe you can find somebody else to do it. We will make sure we install a floor that you're going to be happy with.
So when it comes to floors that you're happy with, I'm really thick into the cleaning space, and I get asked hundreds of questions a day about cleaning floors. And so my question is, how at a glance, because many homeowners don't know what the cleaning requirements are of the floors. And so if they think, oh, I would like to have a marble floor or whatever, and they don't know how to clean it, how do they know if that's the best choice for them? And how do they know what the cleaning requirements are based on the type of flooring?
It's interesting you should ask it that way, Angela, because sometimes depending on, I mean, if you purchase the flooring, you would probably know what it is. But there's many people are living in existing homes or apartments, and they don't know what the product is. I mean,
Mhm.
it's very often I'll see in real estate listings that people are listing hardwood floors, and it's a laminate or a vinyl. So the
Mhm.
first thing is going to be identify what product you have. I mean, that's going to be that's going to be the single most important thing, because that's then going to determine what product you're going to use. The second thing is just make sure you're not grabbing something from under the kitchen sink that you might have. So you also have to make sure that you have a product that is specifically designed for the product, be it hardwood, laminate, or vinyl. Some of them do cross over, but certainly there are specific products and brands out there to clean them. And then just, one of the things that, and this is true of any maintenance product, just whatever you have, don't overuse it.
Mm.
People might want to, if their floor is dirty and grimy because, it's a winter in Illinois, which I saw there was a guest from Illinois, you don't want to take like a mop bucket and start mopping your floor. Just, obviously common sense has to rule as well. So in order, I would say, make sure identify what you have on the floor to clean, and then just make sure that you have a designated, dedicated product to clean that floor. And then just don't overuse anything. I mean, we all kind of know a spray bottle typically won't harm anything. So there's lots of cleaners out there for hard surfaces. They come in a spray, they're pre-mixed, they're almost impossible to overuse. And then there are products out there that come in concentrates. You just obviously have to make sure you don't under dilute or over dilute. So there's lots of little things that you can just do to start the process correctly. And obviously, depending on whether it's carpeting obviously requires very different cleaning than the hard surface does.
So let's talk about the hard surface for a second, because you just brought up hardwood, laminate, and or luxury vinyl plank flooring
yeah.
and vinyl. What are the differences in the different types of floorings for those that don't know the difference?
Okay, so hardwood floors typically come in two categories. You have the solid hardwood and the engineered version. Solid hardwood is typically, I'm going to say, what your grandmother, grandfather had. It's typically much narrower, 2¼ or maybe 3¼ inch wide, and that's typically a solid wood. There's less and less of it being used today. Sometimes new construction, it's done on site. If it's a wider plank, it's typically going to be, let's say it's an engineered hardwood. Now, one of the best ways you can tell if it's a hardwood or a facsimile is twofold. One is, do the planks look somewhat uniform? If they look somewhat uniform, then probably it's not a hardwood. Hardwood is a living, breathing item from nature, so there's going to be individual planks. And then really probably the best way you can do it is go over to where your baseboard or your vent is and pop the vent up, and you will be able to see a cross section of the product. And typically you will be able to tell if it's a hardwood, maybe a laminate, or obviously if it's a vinyl is going to be typically pretty thin, probably, less than 3/16 of an inch. So that's just one quick way you can identify what the product is. And
And
obviously,
I have to interrupt you for a second and say, for every house cleaning company that's out there, did you just hear that tip? If you'll pop up the vent, which are usually on the floors in many homes, and you look at the type of flooring that it is, you'll be able to tell whether it's a hardwood or a luxury vinyl plank flooring or a vinyl. So that's an excellent tip for those that are just not sure, because we do live in an era where we're tricked a lot. There is ceramic tile that looks like hardwood floor. Right. So there's lots of flooring now that tries to trick you into thinking it's hardwood. So this is a great tip. Thank you so much for bringing that up.
Yeah, believe me, Angela, I say I've been in this business a long time, and the knockoff products, if you want to call them, laminate and vinyl, I literally have to go down to my hands and knees and tap on them and sometimes I get it wrong. It is so difficult. So I understand the challenge that some homeowners may have. Just the other thing, sometimes obviously if it's a concrete slab, you typically won't have a floor vent, but you can usually get an edge of a flooring somewhere, typically in a door jamb or something like that. That is typically, you can typically find an edge somewhere, and that would be the best way to find it if you don't have a floor vent.
Excellent tip. Oh my goodness. Okay, cool. So what is the difference between luxury vinyl plank then and just regular vinyl, like the old kind that just rolled out on a sheet?
Well, sheet vinyl, which came in a 12-foot roll, that was very popular in the 70s and 80s and probably all the way through the 90s as well.
We
And I will
still
tell
see
you,
it in some homes.
you do, but I will tell you, just based on the proportion of what is sold today, it is that product has it's down in very small single digits, and sometimes it's done in maybe in lower cost housing or apartment buildings. So it is highly unusual for single family or townhomes to put sheet vinyl in. So if it's been installed in the last 10 years, probably very unlikely it's a sheet vinyl. And obviously, if it's a sheet, it's a 12-foot roll. So if your room's less than 12 feet, there's no seams. And it's actually a flooring that is very suitable, extremely easy to maintain. But unfortunately, today, what has happened in the industry, there's fewer and fewer installers can install that today. So more than likely, if there's somebody listening here and they've gotten a vinyl floor in the last 10 years, I'm going to probably bet it's a plank or tile type. But as far as the finish on the surface, typically they're not different. The finish is not different. So basically how you would maintain those vinyls, whether it be sheet, plank, or tile, typically you would use exactly the same product. So it would
All
not be
right.
different.
So
Yep.
that's my next question then. How do we maintain that?
Okay. Well, this is true of all flooring, and you might hear me repeat this again. Couple best things you can do is obviously not take the dirt into your home to begin with. So that involves having an outdoor mat and then perhaps an indoor mat. And if you've got a covered porch, I am a big fan of the microfiber mats because they will remove the dirt and they will remove the wet, sticky stuff off your feet. So don't take the dirt into your home to begin with. And that's true of all flooring. So have a mat outside, inside, or covered porches. Certainly you can probably do an indoor-outdoor type mat to get the dirt off your feet. And then just, obviously everybody leads very busy lives today. So maybe we don't have time to get the mop out or get the spray bottle out, but regular vacuuming, either with like one of those Dyson hard surface vacuums, it's got the soft roller. So as long as you're keeping the dirt off the floor, and then again, this is true of every floor, that will go a long way to keeping your floor looking new. So hard surface vacuuming, or even dry Swiffer, which only takes minutes or seconds to do the areas you're typically working in, around the kitchen and their entranceway. So those would be the fast ways to maintain your floor. And then obviously on that weekend when you have a little bit more time, it's really that time to get out the Swiffer type. And there's many types out there that they have a cartridge and it's preloaded and it has a trigger gun. So those are an excellent quick way to clean floors. And you can go to Amazon or Walmart or Home Depot and just go to the flooring section. There's lots of cleaning products out there. There's one from Armstrong called Once and Done that has been on the market probably 30 years or more. They're still making it.
Do you love it?
Yeah, it has been in the industry for 30 years. It's called Once and Done. Comes in a quart bottle. It's probably, I don't know, maybe $7, $8, super inexpensive. But again, if you go to the floor covering section, there's lots of products. Rejuvenate they have dedicated hard surface and vinyl cleaners. They're pre-mixed, so some of them come in a spray bottle, which is very handy. Some come in just a regular quart-sized bottle, and you have to sort of put it into either a spritzer bottle. And I would recommend, really more than anything, I don't think anybody wants to be using the bucket and mop type thing anymore. So the spray bottles with a Swiffer type mop is really good. And then there obviously Swiffer and some of the other brands out there. There's a company called Bona, B-O-N-A. They have cleaning mops with cartridges where you plug the cartridge in and it has a trigger gun. And those are super easy to use because you're always applying the right amount of cleaner, and you don't have to wring anything out. You don't have to be ambidextrous and have 3 hands. So they are really an excellent way to clean your floors.
Can we talk about those mop buckets for a minute? Because when I started my cleaning business back in 1988, that's the way that my grandmother cleaned, and that's the way that I was taught. And at the time, I had to admit this, and I'm embarrassed, guys, for everybody that's watching. You're going to go, oh! We dipped the mop inside the mop bucket. We wringed it out, and it was a string mop, and we mopped the floor, and then we dumped it back in the bucket, and we wet the mop again in the same dirty mop water that we just put the mop in, and then we wringed it out again, and we kept mopping the floor. So we were literally spreading dirt around. And one of the reasons in the last 15 years we've really gotten away from mop buckets altogether is for that very reason.
Yeah, good point.
There are some new mop buckets on the market that have 2 compartments. One has clean water and one has dirty water, but we still run the risk of too much water on the floor when the mop is not wringed out properly. Can you tell us a little bit about having too much water on the floor when you mop?
Yeah, that can be, I say, too much of anything is really a bad thing. And water is particularly bad, obviously, on hardwood floors and laminate floors. So there's where you can really start to create damage, particularly solid wood, because obviously solid wood, if it gets wet, it's going to want to expand and all sorts of things will happen. Laminate floors, and again, that there's kind of like a dividing line with laminate floors. Most laminate floors today are topically waterproof, so they actually can take a fair amount of water. I shouldn't say water, but certainly a wet mop. But if you have the older style and you get a traditional laminate wet, it's not going to like that either. Typically vinyl flooring, because it's plastic and most of them are waterproof, there's no real detrimental effect to making them too wet. But certainly then if they're too wet, if they're not then buff dried, you're going to get streaks, of course. So certainly the mop method is not ideal. Granted, there are some new fancy mops that can do a very good job, but more and more, I really recommend the preloaded cartridges or the spritz bottle with a Swiffer type. Again, if you're doing a commercial area, I would say maybe the bucket maybe has more of an application because you're going to have to do larger areas. But typically, if you're just doing a kitchen, living room, you probably don't need to be getting the bucket and mop out.
I'm so glad you said that. I know lots of us are moving to the steamers, which we're using as a dry mop, not even plugging it in, but using the handle because the handle's easy to use. It's a lot like those spritzer mops that you're mentioning, and using like a dry microfiber mop pad on it. So we can do dry mopping, dry dust mopping, and then wetting just the mop pad, not using the steam or anything, but just using the mop pad as damp so that we can use it as a wet mop because it's a flat surface and it's easy to use. And then on those ceramic and tile floors, using the actual steam itself, if need be, around toilets and things where there's,
certainly that would be around tile. I would say use all the steam you want because you're not going to harm anything. And certainly what you just described with the dry mop head, certainly, yeah, absolutely, that would be recommended really for any hard surface.
Tell us about ceramic and stone, because we've got 2 different kinds of flooring there, and we're seeing a lot of stone, and we got lots of stuff on it, and homeowners and house cleaners are wigging out because when you damage stone, it's very expensive. And so what advice can you give us?
That is the category that probably challenges people the most. And I will tell you, just Angela, like I said, there's great facsimiles out there. Some of the porcelain tiles can mimic limestone and granite and marble, and you literally can't tell the difference. So more and more new product is going that direction just simply because it's super easy to maintain. But if you happen to have a natural stone installed, and again, all natural stone isn't maintained the same way, but typically you're going to want to use a neutral pH balance cleaner because obviously Some limestones and marble can adversely react if you use a harsh cleaner. It can literally stain them. So yes, when you've got a natural stone, you have to be that much more careful on what you're using. And there's lots of good products out there in the market. There's a company called Black Diamond. They have like a 1 gallon, and it actually comes in quarts and 1 gallons. It's a marble, stone, and tile cleaner. So it kind of, you can't go wrong, as it were, because maybe you mistakenly identify it, but it's a neutral pH balance cleaner. And they also, I think they sell it in a pre-mix version and a concentrate. And then obviously my advice would be make sure you follow the directions on the concentrates, because again, if you dilute them too much or not enough, you're going to have an adverse effect.
For those of you that are just joining us, we're talking with Sean O'Rourke from the Floor Coverings International. It's a franchise that's all across the country, and they help you choose the flooring that you need for your home. And then also, Sean is here today to share with us how to clean that. One of my concerns is that many homeowners do not understand the difference between a ready-to-use product and a concentrate. Can you explain the difference to us between that? Because you just mentioned them both.
Yeah, certainly. Obviously, if it comes with a spritzer, I think for the most part you could be guaranteed that's going to be already pre-diluted, and again, you can't really go wrong. But there are lots of cleaners out there that they come in like a traditional quart, half gallon, or gallon container, and they look the same. You don't really know if it's unless you read the instructions. There's no way to automatically tell if it's a concentrate or it's already diluted. For instance, I know I have it under my kitchen sink. It's a product by Lysol, and it is a concentrate. It has a nice lemony scent to it. You can typically use it for just about any hard surface floor. But again, you've got to make sure you follow the directions. Usually, I'm going to say usually, it's 1 cup per 1 gallon. But again, there's lots of products out there, so just read the instructions.
And I think that's really important, because it's easy, even as a cleaning business owner, to buy a gallon of something and not be aware that that is a concentrate, and it's designed to be diluted. And so it will usually give you the dilution ratios. And if you're not sure, you can go to the company website, double check to make sure that you're adding the water that you're supposed to, because if you put it straight on the floor, it can have harsh effects. And like Sean said a couple minutes ago, the pH neutral is going to be key. We want to keep a very neutral floor cleaner on our floors. And share with us why we choose pH neutral instead of an acid or a base.
Well, for that reason, it's basically the perfect balance. And again, I'm not the chemist. When it's pH balance, obviously, it's kind of a neutral. How do I best describe this, Angela? See, I'm not a chemist, but neutral pH just means it will not have an adverse effect on a natural substance. It's kind of like hydrogen peroxide, pretty harmless to probably everything. Or baking soda. Like baking soda is another product that can be used to clean lots of different things out there. And again, that's a neutral pH value.
And thank you for bringing that up. For those of you that are not familiar with the pH, the cycle, the system, it goes from 0 to 14. And right in the middle, we have number 7. 7 is water. Water is pH neutral. And so when you go to one side, it's like toilet bowl cleaner. And when you go to the other side, acid, and the other side is alkaline, we go to oven cleaner. So we've got 2 really strong cleaners on the other side. And we want to stay as neutral as possible when it comes to our floors. So pH neutral is the key. If you are unsure, always err on the side of pH neutral. There you go. All right, we got some questions that have come in. Are you ready for some questions, Sean?
I'm ready.
Awesome. I want to say hi to Tori. She says, hi, Angela. That's why I always leave my shoes outside. Tori, good for you. I'm so glad that you leave your shoes outside. That's a great example for all of us. Kelly says, do you recommend steam sanitizer mops for floors? Let's answer that question. Steam sanitizers.
Well, if you have a tile flooring, 100% yes. But for pretty much all other floors, I would not recommend. Again, maybe in the hands of a professional, but certainly maybe, for a regular homeowner, and maybe they're they put that chore to Susie, 16-year-old Susie, and she just wants to use it as best she can. So yeah, you do not want to use steamers, particularly on hardwood, particularly on laminate. They were probably okay on most of the vinyl floors, but I can't say I would recommend it, because obviously vinyl adversely it doesn't get impacted by moisture, but certainly it does get adversely affected by heat. So if you've got that temperature on that sanitizer turned up, it could have a detrimental effect, but definitely not on laminate and definitely not on any of the hardwood floors.
If by any chance you have a dog slobber or something that cannot come up, you can use a steamer in very, very small spots, like to pick up that something, and for just seconds. Like Sean said, it can damage, the heat can damage. And also if you have like wooden floors, like he mentioned before, with the moisture in the water, you don't want it to warp the floors and you don't want it to get in there. So again, we do use the steamers because the handles are really nice and they're convenient, especially for like seniors that have like shoulder replacements and they can't use the big mop. And so just the handles, but again, we're using the dry floor covering that goes right on the head of the mop, or we're using it damp and we're using it as a damp mop. So think damp and dry for hardwoods and laminates, and then the steam for the bathroom where we need to sanitize and clean up, extra things that we get in our bathrooms. And that will also remove hairspray off your ceramic tile flooring. So think of that as well. All right, our next question. This is from Random Exploring. Baking soda before vacuuming and using vinegar for vinyl flooring. Options and suggestions. You mentioned baking soda. Share with us how that works.
Well, we don't always have accidents at the right time. And if it happens at 10 o'clock at night when you have friends over and someone spills wine or somebody gets something stuck to the floor, obviously you want to clean it and you just don't have that product. So yeah, depending on what the stain is, what the surface is, typically you can do a concoction of baking soda and vinegar and maybe a little bit of Dawn dishwashing liquid. And that can be used to clean all sorts of greasy stuff. Let's say somebody got, just something that they took in from, they stepped in oil or something like that, or some sort of paint or lipstick. A baking soda paste with vinegar can certainly really, you just create like a little paste, put it on the stain, and then when the baking soda dries, it will take, basically you can use a hard or like a plastic edge. That hard stain will be removed with the baking soda as it dries. So there's lots of home remedies out there. Obviously hydrogen peroxide can be used to clean lots of items. Certainly like one of the most difficult things that you can get is obviously like a blood stain on carpet. Certainly you want to remove any excesses that you can. A little bit of club soda and a little bit of salt and let it sit there for 15 or 20 minutes and it will work wonders. Baking soda and club soda will clean probably 95% of every stain you could get in your home. It's just making sure you use it in the right formula. And again, we all have Google and on our phones and on our desktops and laptops. So typically there will be a slightly different formula depending on what you're looking to remove it.
And I think the key that Sean just said was it depends on the surface type and it depends on the type of stain. And it always comes down to those two things. What is the surface that I'm cleaning and what is the soil that I'm trying to remove? Because it's going to be different. And like you said, in different concoctions based on the type of flooring and the type of the stain that you're trying to remove. So for example, peanut butter is going to respond differently than a blood stain. And so you don't want to use the same concoction if you have a different type of soil you're trying to remove. So awesome answer. That was fantastic.
And I'll give you one more, Angela. Obviously, the other big thing we don't want to have happening, particularly again, this would be carpet. If your little Chihuahua or Great Dane, whatever it was, has a urine stain on your carpet, obviously you want to get that removed as quickly as possible. Typically a concoction or like 2 cups of water mixed with 1 cup of vinegar and a little bit of baking soda. You wet the carpet with the mixture, put the baking soda on there, and that will both neutralize it and remove it. And then obviously you have to blot it with a clean towel afterwards. But baking soda and vinegar is great even for removing urine stains.
And tell us about if a pet pees on the floor and you do remove it with vinegar, does that give them, does it smell bad so they don't pee there again? Or does that like, oh, hey, now I've marked my
I'm going to tell
territory.
you, Angela, I am not a pet owner, so I'm probably not the best person to ask if it discourages little, Rupert or whatever his name may be from going back. But I gotta believe, well, vinegar, it will dry off. That is the effect that the vinegar has. So I'm going to say that probably would be short-lived, but certainly, I think maybe a pet owner might be better able to answer that one.
So I'm curious, and this is an Angela question. I'm curious, are you not a pet owner because you've been in the flooring industry for so long?
How do I answer that? No, I did have a pet I had a dog and a cat for 15 years. And I never replaced them. I just live a busy life, and I just never went back to owning a pet, but not because of any other reason.
And the reason I ask is because I too was a pet owner. And when my pets passed away, I did not replace them either. But for me, it was because of all of the pet hair and all of the accidents and all of the cleanup. And I'm like, you know what? That was really awesome for a time. And I will always love those little pets, and I'm not going to replace them either. And I didn't. Isn't that wild?
Well, unfortunately, I think something that I said earlier, 65% of Americans have at least one animal in their home. Now, it could be a bird or something else. And we typically find our clientele at Floor Coverings International, it's as many as like 80% of people have a pet. So, and today, particularly, like I'm going to say, especially since COVID too, people have repurposed different rooms in their home. And obviously a lot of people went out there and got puppies and stuff like that. So a lot of times homeowners make decisions on what flooring to put in based on their little dog. So it's something that also has to be taken into consideration, because obviously if you can use a more organic type cleaner, especially in a home, that would be advisable. I know there's stuff out there, it's farmer ants or something it's called, or ant farmer, and it's a very green biological product. I think it's pre-diluted vinegar with some baking soda. So there are eco-friendly pet option cleaners out there as well. And I would say for the most part, even most of the commercial cleaning products today are pet and they're pet friendly.
One that we use in the cleaning business that we're really big fans of is Odoban Bio Stain Remover. And it's an odor and stain remover, and it eats up the enzymes. And so it's clear. It goes on just like hydrogen peroxide or vinegar, and it doesn't have a really strong smell to it. And when you put it on that urine or that pee smell from your pet, you do the same blotting system, but then the enzymes will eat it up, and then the pets don't revisit that area. And so it's really, really great. And it's also great for people protein stains. So if you have like baby spit up on clothing and stuff like that, we'll spray it with the exact same thing. And even though it's an biostain odor remover, and it's kind of designed for pets, it's fantastic for people as well. So if you're a house cleaner, this is kind of a hint and a secret, but if you get those big underarm stains where you're sweating because you're working out, or you get that ring around the collar, you spray it with that and it comes right off. It's fantastic.
Wow.
So I know.
Yeah,
so
I'm learning something too.
There you go. So Nancy says, hello, Angela and Sean. She's from Illinois. And she says, how might I remove a stain from the gripper backside of a bathroom rug? So I'm guessing these are like bath mats that you would pull up, and then they've got stains and stuff on the back of them. How do we remove that? Would you know?
Yeah, I would say certainly I would take the hydrogen peroxide and baking soda method. Make a concoction and leave it on there. I'm not sure if it's the gripper that has caused the stain, which if it is, typically that's an oil type substance. So it really, that's kind of tricky one to really answer what the best method to clean that. But certainly there would be no reason. Typically bath rugs are washable. So certainly some of the pre-made spritzer cleaner or spot remover could possibly work in that. Even spot remover for your clothing could possibly work in that case.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Mary says, what is the best product to clean wooden, not hardwood floors? And I don't know the difference between wooden and hardwood because we throw them all into one great big lump sum. What is the best way to answer that?
Yeah, I'm a little confused on that one too, Angela. I'm not sure if wooden floors means it's in an older home where maybe it hasn't been, it's not like a pre-finished floor. But to me, I wouldn't really separate those two. Typically, as long as it's again a cleaning product designed for hardwoods, I wouldn't see why you would not be able to use those for wooden floors.
Okay.
Yeah,
So a hardwood floor,
probably if it's got like a lacquered finish or something like that. If it's got a lacquered finish, maybe something like Murphy's oil soap might be recommended for that.
can we talk for a second about using vinegar on floors? Because when I started my cleaning business, I used vinegar on floors because that's what my grandmother did. And we didn't realize we were actually stripping some of that finish off. Can you tell us how we clean our floors with, and I'm talking about modern floors, because in the last 15, 20 years, those waxed floors are going away. We're not waxing floors like we used to.
Yeah. And again, I think a lot of what you're going to experience in the flooring world or floor cleaning world is how old the floor is. Certainly if it's in the last 10, 15, even almost 20 years, typically you're going to have almost, wax is really gone by the wayside for the most part. So again, there's lots of cleaning products out there, but vinegar can be used obviously we talked about carpet and certainly on hard surfaces. If you put a cup of white vinegar in a bucket of mild or lukewarm water and a little bit of dishwashing liquid like a Dawn or some fairy liquid or whatever, certainly you can clean almost any hard surface floor with that. And there's really, again, as long as you're not using too much moisture, there is really no harm done. And certainly vinegar, it has the ability to remove odors, remove stains, and certainly to this day, it's still getting used. And really, again, as long as you're diluting it correctly, no harm done.
And I think that's the key. I want to highlight what he just said about diluting. We've had lots of house cleaners in the past using straight vinegar. And while straight vinegar is awesome in your laundry, it can strip the finish off the floors. And so what Sean said about diluting, again, this goes back to the concentrates. If you will read the labels and you'll be really careful to remember, we're going back to a pH neutral, right? On hardwood floors especially. And our vinegar is a 2.5, which is a really strong acid. And so if we dilute that properly, it removes amazing things like dog slobber and ground in food and spilled soups and greases and all that kind of stuff. It's fantastic if diluted properly. So you guys just heard it from Sean. He said dilute it. Okay. So again, like he said, you've got Google and all the stuff handy, but make sure that you're thinking of the flooring type and the type of soil that you're trying to remove. So that's awesome. All right, we have, and this is from Rachel Rose. She says, hi, and please could you tell me how to clean very old, dull, red quarry tiles on a farmhouse kitchen floor?
So typically red quarry tiles, they are, if they are what I'm thinking they are unglazed. So certainly that dirt can get really ground in there. So you would probably, first of all, I would use maybe a bristle vacuum to basically try to agitate the surface, because obviously there's, over the years, lots of stuff have gotten on that flooring. So I would use a coarse bristle brush to get the top of the surface opened up, and then just, again, use a good quality tile cleaner. Now, typically, a tile cleaner that just cleans ceramic tile will also have the right chemical makeup to clean quarry tile. And then obviously grout, again, typically quarry tile had a very, very thick grout joint, and the tile cleaners typically they will clean the grout as well. But if you're also trying to make the grout maybe back to its original color, that's going to require a little bit of elbow grease and not a general cleaning. But a coarse bristle brush over that red quarry tile would be the first thing I would do. And then it's possibly going to take multiple cleanings to get that surface cleaned. And again, that floor has been down there plenty long. So if you use a more coarse bristle brush with the cleaning solution, you're not going to harm it.
And I want to highlight that too, because what Sean just told us was multiple cleanings. It's going to require a brush. It's going to require some elbow grease. And when you go in to clean 1900s flooring, we have to be really clear about setting proper expectations, because we're not going to take an old 1900s floor and we're going to bring it back to 2023 standards and make it look brand spanking new again. We've got a lot of homeowners that are like, hey, can you make my old floor look brand new? No, it's an old flooring. And so we have to set realistic expectations. And if you are the cleaner, you got to set a parameter of this is what you can expect and this is how much it's going to cost, because we do have to use some elbow grease and some scrubbing and all the other things, right? So I love that he just set some very realistic expectations, and not all floors you're just going to put some magic dust on them and poof, they look brand new again. It doesn't work that way. Which takes us to the next question. And this is from Mary. And she says, is there a store in Syracuse, New York that you would recommend or that you would advise us to visit, John, for a new floor?
I'm not going to be geographically able to place a store in Syracuse, New York. But certainly, you know, we all look at reviews today, and certainly how long the company or store may be in business is probably a good sign right there. And certainly, if it's a brick and mortar type store, certainly, you know, pay them a visit. You'll be able to best answer that. I personally could not answer that one.
Well, let me ask you a question because of that question, and that's a fair question. What do you recommend? But the question is this. Let's say that you find a store. What are some questions you should ask the person that you're going to buy your flooring from?
Just like I had said with, you know, the service that we offer is certainly, you know, when you go into, let's say, a store, you're going to have just an array of options that's just going to be, quite honestly, it's going to be overwhelming. But I think maybe the first thing is what do you want your home to look like when it's finished? What is, you know, whether it's coming from the style or the color or the durability of the product. And obviously we can't forget budget, because that's always going to be part of it. So basically, I think set limitations on what you're looking for. And certainly we can all get a lot of inspiration today from whether it's Pinterest or House or whatever, or magazines. And, you know, certainly when people are looking for floor covering, it's not something that they decide like, oh, I want to buy a new dress because I've got a party this week. It's something that you decide over probably a period of 3 months, you know, because sometimes it's like, well, that floor has been down there a while, but before it got ugly, as it were. Floors don't wear out, they just get ugly. So really get inspiration from whether it's the internet or magazines, and take whatever they are into the store. Don't be afraid to visit some other stores and maybe bring in some paint chips, and just really express to whoever you're working with what I want what the space I'm covering, what I'm trying to convey. Is it an office space? Is it my bedroom where I want serenity and comfort and plushness? Is it where I've got, you know, my living area where I've got 2 kids and 2 dogs living? Obviously, depending on the use and the budget and all these different things, bring as much as you can to the store as you can. But certainly, you know, whoever's helping you, they're not mind readers, and they don't know what your home looks like and how you use it. So don't be afraid, obviously, to snap some photographs of what your decorating looks like also. So there's just so many things that we can do today that maybe you couldn't do, obviously, you know, a long time ago.
So if I have a Floor Coverings International person come to my house and they're going to help me choose a floor, do I choose the flooring based on how I'm going to use the house or on the resale value of the house when I go to sell the house?
I personally, I would certainly recommend what works for you. The resale thing, obviously, if you're putting it on the market in 6 months, that's a different equation. But to me personally, don't worry about that. Pick the thing that's going to work for you because you're the one that's living there, and don't worry about that other resale value down the road. I mean, realtors will tell you that hardwood floors are still the most desired flooring that people want to see in their home. But maybe it's not the flooring that should be in someone's home if they've got, say, multiple animals and young kids. Maybe that's not the right product. So that's like you're just never ever going to know if what you put in is going to appeal to the buyer down the road. Personally, I wouldn't worry about it. I would put in what's suitable for you.
And the reason I bring it up is when we first got married and we bought our house, because I'm in the cleaning business, I was like, I am not having anything but tile in my house. I'm just having ceramic tile. I'm going to call it a day. That's it. It's going to be easy to clean, easy to sweep. We're done. And so we did. We installed ceramic tile from the front entry all the way through the kitchen, the dining room, the laundry room, the whole front half of the house. And when we went to sell it, the realtor's like, "Oh no, you didn't. You're never going to be able to sell this because everybody wants hardwood." And I said, "It's perfect. Just sell it. Just sell the house to somebody from Florida, because all the homes in Florida have tile."
There's always somebody out there who just wants tile, but to try to foretell who's going to buy your home down the road, forget that.
But because I was so bent on, it's just so easy to clean. I can use the steamer on it, and it's done, in moments. So then when she put the ads up on the MLS listing, she said, perfect home for a Florida buyer or whatever. And somebody from Florida bought it. And I was like, yay, it worked. And then we got to enjoy it the whole time we lived there.
There you go. See, that proof in the pudding.
Crazy stuff. So we're running out of time here, man. I'm so sad here. We've got just a couple questions left and we're running out of time. Adriana says, I have a Roebuck S8 Pro Ultra and it says to use their solution. I'm guessing that's a steamer or a mop of some sort with one of the spritzer things. Can I use a drop of sal suds to the tank of water instead of using their solution? I'm going to answer that because we do use sal suds a lot with the mopping. And sal suds, I'm going to be honest with you, it's a Castile soap. It's by Bronner's, Dr. Bronner, and it's all earth friendly, and it passes all the tests from all of the different eco-friendly cleaning, green cleaning, all that stuff. It's fantastic, and you need one drop. I'm not kidding. You need one drop. If you use a squirt of it, you're going to have suds all over your floor. If you use one drop in either your premix that you're using, if you do a pre-wet system, or if you want to use your spritzer, one drop in the tank, that is all you need. Okay. One drop, and it will shine your floors. It does a fantastic job. So I would say yes, if it is a machine that allows cleaning solution, and double check the manufacturer's instructions, because some units, I know a lot of steamers and stuff say don't add anything at all. So I don't know what the unit is. I'm not familiar with the Pro S8 thing that you recommended. But if it allows cleaning solutions, one drop of sal suds. So there you go. And the answer is yes, one drop. All right. And I think we answered this one already. How to clean and protect damaged 1900s hardwood flooring.
That is actually a tough one. I mean, damaged mean, it might need board replacement. It might need patch. It might need, obviously probably a shellac or an oil finish on it might be advisable. But that's probably something like that. That might be more for a hardwood professional, because I'm not sure what the damage, what the damage is.
And I think that goes back again to meeting expectations with the homeowner. And if you are the homeowner, it's your flooring, this might be a great time to call Floor Coverings International and have them come over and take a look and give you some suggestions about updating your flooring. Somebody says, and this is S Mountain, says, can we mention the importance of not following internet trends? Example like toilet bowl cleaners on tile floors. You guys do not want to start me on that tangent. I do not want to go off on that tangent. But if I can address that really quickly, please read the manufacturer's instructions, because if you are buying a floor, it is warranted for a period of time. And I do not want you as a cleaning business owner to be experimenting on customers' floors with internet trends. It's damaging and it's dangerous. Just like we don't mix chemicals because we're not chemists, we can dilute products based on the manufacturer's recommendations. And so toilet bowl cleaners are a very strong acid, and they are designed for toilets. They are designed for porcelain or ceramic toilets, and that is what they are designed for. And there's a lot of damage that comes through my office every single day of people going, oh my goodness, I screwed up. I used this on a customer's whatever, and I damaged this, that, or the other. How do I fix it? And then your insurance, you're going to try to file an insurance claim, and the insurance company is not going to cover it because they're going to say it was in your care, custody, and control, and you're the professional, and you're supposed to know that you're supposed to read the manufacturer's instructions on the labels, okay? If you're unsure, or if you're like me and you need the reading glasses and you can't see the little print, please read the safety data sheets, because every manufacturer has a safety data sheet that they have to specify the damage that can be done and the hazards, okay? So it's up to you as the professional to do your homework and to know before you go experimenting on customers, whatever, appliances, surfaces, flooring, that you're responsible for it, okay? And unless you want to do a whole bunch of repairs and a whole bunch of out-of-pocket expenses, please do not use internet trends on customers' flooring if you are not 100% sure that that's the proper thing to be using. There you go. That was my rant. Our time is up for today. Sean, I'm so glad you joined us today. This was so fun. I just had a blast. And I had a blast to all of you guys that joined in and you asked questions and you participated. So thank you so much. Sean, where can our listeners go to find you?
Well, certainly we know where to find everything today is go onto Google and just put in flooring near you. We usually come up, but certainly www.floorcoveringsinternational.com. And that will send you to the nearest franchisee. And again, we have 225 throughout the country. So there is one in pretty much every market across the United States. Unfortunately, well, we are international. We are in Canada also. I don't know if we have any Canadian visitors, but we are not in Ireland or England, at least yet.
Not yet, but I'm sure coming soon. Thank you so much, you guys, for today. This was awesome. And until we see you again, leave the world a cleaner place than when you found it.